the Community Board has on their calendar that there's going to be a meeting on Roosevelt Island, and it's the Roosevelt Island Task Force. And I'm confused for a couple of reasons. One is that I noticed that the chair and co-chair of the task force, of the Roosevelt Island Task Force, are non-Roosevelt Island residents. And I was wondering why the task force, why the Roosevelt Island Task Force does not have Roosevelt Island residents who are heading up this task force, and we have at least 4 people on Community Board A. That's number one. And secondly,
Sharon, excuse me, but we're talking about the government relations.
because it has to do with government relations.
Could you make that connection?
I'm sorry?
Could you make that connection? This seems to be about Community Board A, which is really not our purview.
Yeah, but it's government, it's government relations.
I have to agree with
That's
you.
under government, I'm thinking that's under, yeah.
Jeff Escobar explained this because it has to do with ULURP.
Right.
And
I
there's a
mean,
ULURP committee.
Right. We went, don't get me wrong, we spent the last summer and up to last year with the past chair and the newly elected chair to, number one, convene this task force, because up to this point, it was just going to be going through the normal land use process and go through the land use review board throughout the entire committee. But we said we need a specific task force to start addressing the ULURP process. So we were able to at least get that. Number two, we did push.
So this meeting is about Cornell?
It is. And so let me just give you further information for all those who are not aware. They said in prior meetings, Community Board A has to approve the Cornell ULURP application. Typically, what happens is that the entire board votes for it and talks about it and debates it. We, specifically over the summer, have said to the chairs, because it's such a large project, that we need to have a specific task force. Now, the
Just to clarify, ULURP means Universal Land Use Review process.
which we have to undergo, which the project has to undergo by statute. At that time, the chair, the new incoming chair, Nick Rice, had said, well, he was in support of the task force, the meetings be held on this island, and being held always on the island, so that's why they always held the island, because of our push. And then at that time, he had said, I do really think that it should be the majority of the Roosevelt Island members and possibly headed up by that. But it ended up happening after that, because of the impact on the community at large, because of the pressure that apparently was pushed by the president's office, by his Clinton's office. The committee is actually chaired by the land use review chair, which is the chair of Community Board A, and every single president or every single chair of the subcommittees that impact. So the education, transportation, the Roosevelt Island subcommittee, they're all board members as well, and all the Roosevelt Island members who were residents on the island.
So is this task force separate and distinct from the Roosevelt Island Committee,
Yes.
CBA?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And so the whole purpose of it is they are to undergo and review the ULURP application to subdivide different issues, such as transportation, education, so that when in November of this year it comes before the vote, before the general committee, it's been thoroughly vetted by all of the affected communities. And that's the official, believe me, we have pushed very hard for it to be otherwise. But this is the compromise that who appointed us onto the board and asked that we take, quite frankly, with having Nick be chair, who's here, has been very much to the community. Short of having one of us chair it, we would not have any other individual be chairman of the during that task force. So having said that, there is a meeting next Tuesday, the 8th at 6:30 at the Chapel of Good Shepherd. My understanding is Cornell will be presenting again at the same time. That will be the first public scrutiny by anybody like official electeds on a well-known transaction basis.
Okay. A couple of things. I appreciate your efforts very much on the community board, as well as Helen's and the other, I think Deirdre and Patrick, as well as Larry Parness overall. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I will tell you that I'm extremely concerned about these turns of events. First of all, we almost have had no knowledge of this meeting were it not for the announcement in the community board schedule that's mailed out. And not everybody is on their mailing list, as I am, having spent 14 years on the board. Secondly, I'm also worried that we do not have, and I have to yield very reluctantly to your commitment to Roosevelt Island, and you're a resident here, as well as other community board members. But I think that that committee, number one, should have been chaired by Roosevelt Island residents. We have enough on the board. And if not, you know what, this is extremely unusual. It's an unusual move to move a project out of a regular committee, which would have been the Roosevelt Island Committee, or the Land Use Committee as a whole. And I specifically bring this to everyone's attention because we also have to make sure that this meeting is on our agenda. That's number one, in order to be there. And secondly, to really, really reinforce the fact that things are happening at a phenomenal pace, It cannot be that this project, the depth and breadth of it is expansive. It's not even something that was conceptualized in the general development plan. I'm in support, just one second, Lorraine. I'm in support of this project. What I'm not in support of is lack of resident input, particularly in certain areas of the project, for instance, like this committee. I'm in support of your efforts and the community benefits agreement. I'm in support of Susan's efforts. I'm in support of the Silicon Island City efforts, but it will all be for naught.
Sharon, you bring up a good
Wait
point
a minute, Matt, I'm not finished.
What
I'm
I would
not
like to
finished.
happen
Give me,
is that Rick and
excuse
Dick,
me,
who are
Matt,
here
you
this
didn't
evening-
even know
I
about
will
this.
recognize you,
I
Sharon,
just want
but I would like
to
to
finish my point, Matt.
Please do.
I will, I promise, and I'll be
This is
happy to
CBA
hear.
business.
I will, no,
Name
it's
it.
not, it's government
Then
relations,
get to the
number
point, Sharon.
one. Number one is government relations, and number two, it impacts us very directly. People didn't know about this meeting before. And my suggestion is twofold. Number one, to make sure that at every single meeting that we understand the ULUP process and the seeker process, both of them, because it's not going to matter what we do individually. Both ULUP and seeker, the environmental review process, the considerations of the environmental impacts on us as residents here, and I've talked about this previously, all of that has specific timelines. It'll be completely out of our hands if they vote on this project and it's a done deal.
What project?
Okay, we have the press here this evening. We have Rick and we have Dick here. They've heard about this meeting next week. You would include this in your capacity to speak to the community. That would be a very useful thing. Could you mention again the specifics of the meeting?
It's Tuesday, May 8th. Announced here last meeting.
Well,
Tuesday, May 8th, as I announced at this meeting and last meeting, it's at 6:30 at the Chapel of the Good Shepherd.